let us look at how we clean a variable. Now, in cleaning up our data set, some of the things that we want to do, we want to make sure that our variable names are actually useful variable names that are informative. And we want to make sure that we have our missing values declared for variables that have missing values. So for example, the age variable doesn't have any value labels, and based on the frequency distribution for that variable, it doesn't have any missing values. As you can see, there are all valid responses. However, if we look, for example, at variable A6 here, and I am going to go ahead and first and foremost change the variable name. So I want to call this variable living arrangement. So I'm going to type living, and instead of arrangement, I'm just going to put ARR. And so this is their living arrangement, and this is where they live at college. So in order to clean a variable, there are actually 4 steps that I recommend. First, and this is of course variables where you really don't know where the missing values are, what the responses are like. First thing you will do is to run it. And running it means running the frequency distribution of the variable. Then you will eyeball it, which is to examine the output table and identify the missing values. Then you will fix it. So you will come back to the variable view and declare the value as missing here. And then 4, you will run it again, which is to rerun your frequency distribution to ensure that the changes that you have specified have been made. So let us begin by running the frequency distribution for the living arrangement variable. So let's go back and rename living underscore ERR, enter. Remember, you have to press enter to get the variable name to stay. So I'm going to go to analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies, and I'm going to select the variable that I want, which is living R. And one thing that you can do, what I just did was I just click my cursor anywhere in this cell, in this variable list, and just type L on my keyboard, and it went to the first instance of L. So you bring that variable in by clicking on this center button here and bringing it in. And I don't want any statistics, right? So I'm unclicking all of the statistics that are selected by default, and I'm going to click paste, and then I'm going to actually go to the syntax, and here it is right now. And as you can see, there are no statistics. You see the difference now between those two. And I'm going to click run selection, and so the output pops up, and you can see here that you have here the cells that were blank. You had 50, and as you can see, they're declared as missing, and they are not counted as part of your valid percent. All right, now look here at the responses. So I've run it, and I'm moving to step 2, which is to eyeball it. I'm looking at the different responses, and as I said here, there is a other, and I'm not sure what that means. If they live at home with their parents, if they live in a bus or car, like I don't know. So what I want to do is to actually tell the software that anybody who responded other, I would prefer for their actual responses to be ignored when I'm doing my data analysis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare 6, which corresponds with other, as missing. So I've eyeballed it. I have identified my missing value. And it can be more than one, so you'll probably want to write it down if you're working on a variable that has multiple missing values. Then I'm going to go back to my data file, and I'm going back to living arrangements, and I'm going to go to missing values. I double click and I go to discrete missing values, and I'm going to type 6 here, and I'm going to click OK. And now we see where 6 has been declared as a missing value. All right, so this is how you would actually clean a variable. Now, once you have done that, what you need to do now is to make sure that the changes that you made have taken. Now, instead of actually going back to the menu and clicking analyze, etc., the great thing is we have our syntax. So all I have to do is go back to my syntax file, reselect the variable, and click run selection, and I am able to see now the changes that I made to the variable. So look, under valid percent, prior to cleaning the variable, other being quoted as 7 responses, and it being 8%, or 8%, no, 0.08%, what am I saying? 0.08% of the valid responses. Now look, it is now missing, and it is not counted as part of valid percent, and all of the other valid percents have increased because it understands that it's going to count responses 1 through 5 as valid, and so your cumulative percent now goes from 1 to 5 instead of 1 to 6. All right, do you see that? Yes, you do. Great. So this is how you know that the changes that you have made to actually clean your variable have taken. So again, the steps for running a variable, you run it by running the frequency distribution initially. You eyeball it, you examine the frequency table output to see which values need to be excluded. You then fix it by going to your data file and declaring the value as missing here, clicking OK. Once you are finished doing that, you will run it again. So what you will do is go to your syntax, select your procedure, click run selection, which will generate new output. And in your output file, you should be able to see that the changes that you have made have taken effect. And so this is how you are able to clean a variable.